8 weeks postpartum. I made it and I'm back. Welcome to my channel. If you're new here, I'm Lex. I'm an entrepreneur, a mom. I'm in the middle of something, and a creative. If you're already subscribed, long time no see. Thank you for being here. Thank you for tuning back in. If you're not subscribed and you like what you see here, you picking up what I'm putting down, feel free to subscribe. Give me a like. Put me a little comment down there. Let me know what you're thinking, what you're feeling. Today we're gonna get right into it. Today is episode 1 of my new series, Postpartum, the series. I am, like I said, 8 weeks postpartum. My baby boy is in the back, and child, it's been a wild ride. Okay, this is baby number 2 for me. They say every pregnancy is different, which is true, but man, there was so much that I wasn't prepared for. First of all, I got some notes here, okay? So let me just get right into my little, okay, so I can stay on track. Healing after birth. So I had a C-section this time around. I did not with my first child, but I did this time around, and I was not prepared at all. It was an emergency C-section, wasn't planned, so I didn't know what to expect. I hadn't really done a lot of research on C-sections because I didn't anticipate on having one. So yeah, I wasn't prepared. What's up, man? He didn't plan on being delivered via C-section either. The healing, the recovery process after a C-section though, is like, in my opinion, in my experience, 20,000 times more challenging than V-birth. You know, they be liking the flag stuff on YouTube. And ain't nobody told me nothing. You're not feeling it? You're not feeling it. I'm gonna have to take 2. But 20,000 times more challenging. Nobody told me anything. I had not done any research, obviously, because I didn't anticipate having a C-section. But I did not do my research. Child. First of all, they're cutting through. First of all, it's the fact that people make having a C-section seem like a breeze. Like they would prefer that over a V-birth, right? Because it's easier. Because you don't have to push a baby out physically through the birth canal. But nobody talks about that recovery. People are choosing to do this. Child, no. No. If I had to choose between a C-section or a V-birth, I very much so V-birth me, please. It was painful, way more painful. I felt like I couldn't do anything on my own. I had to rely on people, and for me, I'm not a person who likes to ask for help. I like to do everything myself, for myself, on my own, by myself, okay? And it was challenging. I had to rely on everyone around me to do everything for me, or to at least help me with everything. In the hospital, if you would have told me 8 weeks later I would be up, moving and grooving how I am now, I wouldn't have believed you. Because it was so excruciating at the time, I was like, I don't think I'm gonna make it. I ain't gonna make it. I didn't think I was gonna make it. That was a lot. And I like I said, I just wasn't prepared mentally or anything. Everything happened so fast. That birthing plan went out the window. Okay, my plan was to have him naturally, no medication, no drugs, no nothing. And that just was not what God had in mind. Okay, so I had to get an epidural, which thank God for those. Okay, I do understand why people get those. I do understand. Everything just happened so fast. Had to get an epidural procedure. That was a lot. You know, they're cutting through 4 to 5 layers of muscle and tissue and organ and all of this stuff just to get to the baby. And it's a lot on both of y'all, especially if the baby is going through trauma. And that's the reason why you got to get the C-section. So once I was home, I just made it a point to take time for myself. So I stepped back from social media. I haven't really posted in the last 8 weeks. I haven't really talked to anybody or been on the phone. I just really have been intentional about spending time with my baby and just allowing myself space, you know, space to get my thoughts together. We go through so much, and this is like where the inspiration for this series came from, because I feel like we go through a lot hormonally and emotionally after we have the baby, and the emphasis of like the changes that women go through is always put on the pregnancy. And I think that the postpartum stage is a little neglected when it comes to awareness, just of everything that we go through, everything that your body goes through physically, everything that your mind goes through, everything you go through emotionally. It's a lot, and you need support, you know, just as much, if not more, after you have the baby than during your pregnancy. We definitely be intentional about taking time for yourself. If you don't feel like talking to nobody, now you got to be careful, because with you going through all of the hormonal changes, you're at risk for postpartum depression. So you have to be aware of the intensity of what it is that you're feeling, because I'm the type of person that when I'm going through stuff, I just naturally isolate. I don't really want to be around anybody. I don't want to talk to anybody. I want to clear out the noise, you know. But you got to be careful, because you can slip into depression, and you need support. You need to be around people when you're going through that. They say it can take your body up to a year physically to get back to normal, and of course each person is different, but up to a year. When you think about it, that makes sense, because your body just went through a metamorphosis over the last 40 weeks, which is almost a year, to get to the point of even being ready to deliver the baby. So having like realistic expectations about what happens in the postpartum stage is key. I feel like more light needs to be shed on it, and not just the stigmas about postpartum depression, like, oh, she wilding out, she going through postpartum depression. Like, not just that part, but you know, everything that goes into it, because it's a lot. Hormonally, it can take you 3 to 6 months, if you're not exclusively breastfeeding, to get back to normal, for your hormones to regulate. And that is a whirlwind of emotions that you're going to go through. You're rapidly losing estrogen and progesterone as soon as you have the baby, like immediately after you deliver. Those levels drop drastically, and those two hormones is what leads to the baby blues, or you being stressed or sad, or having anxiety. And so you got to be aware of that, you know. And if you don't know, you might feel like you're losing your mind if you don't know that that's gonna happen. I knew it was gonna happen, and I still was like crying at the drop of a dime. I still was sad, on top of lifing, because life don't stop lifing just because you just had a baby. So, you know, trying to balance regular life and get back into the swing of things while trying to get acclimated to this new human being that you have to learn and nurture and care for. It's a lot. You got estrogen and progesterone. I went through and I made a note of all of the hormonal changes, because somebody may not know, because I didn't know, you know, all of it. It's a long list of hormonal changes that our bodies go through immediately after we had a baby. But the main ones is the loss of the estrogen and progesterone, like I said. Oxytocin, which is the hormone that triggers your uterus to contract for labor when you go into labor. It's also the hormone that triggers your uterus to contract to go back to its normal size after you have the baby. And it's often referred to as the love hormone, because it's the hormone that is produced when you look at your baby, and it helps with mother-baby bonding. And so I'm just like doing all this research after I had my baby. Like, I just been doing a lot of reading, and I'm just like, man, I'm in awe of God, first of all, because God is so strategic, though, in the sense that my body is going to go through all these hormonal changes once my baby is outside of my body. I'm going to be sad, I'm going to be anxious, I'm going to be stressed, but just looking at my baby will produce a hormone that makes me feel love and happiness. God just blows my mind. If that don't blow your mind, just ponder on it a little bit longer. You got everything you need. That's just what I hear. Like, you got everything you need. Whatever it is that you got everything you need. It's within you already. Not to mention acne. From the hormonal changes, your body is producing, extra oil, which can clog your pores, which causes acne. Weight fluctuation. You're not gonna drop all that weight right away, and it's already harder for women, especially if you're older or a little up in age, for us to lose weight versus when we're younger, or in comparison to men. And then you got postpartum hair loss, which is a result of when you're pregnant, your body is storing all of these hormones and nutrients for the baby, right? Which you benefit from in turn, because on average, we lose about 100 hairs a day. When you're pregnant, you got all these added hormones and nutrients in your body. You don't lose the normal amount of hair daily that you would if you weren't pregnant. So this gives the illusion, or not really an illusion, but it really does make your hair thicker and fuller, because you're not losing as much hair as you would have. So once you had the baby, you don't have all of these nutrients. Your body is going through all of these hormonal changes, and it causes the hairs that you would have normally lost, it causes them to shed, which makes us feel like our hair is falling out, which is not really falling out. I mean, it is, but it's not really falling out. It's just your body going back to normal. So some of us do lose, like we end up with patches. Like I remember with my first son, my edges were gone. Like I had a Batman wing, like Batman signal. That's how my hairline looked. I already got an Eddie, a little widow's peak, and whatever. But I tried to do a half up, half down. About 2 months after I had him, 3 months after I had him, my edges, I was like, where did they go? Where did they go? Where did the edges go? So this is all real stuff, and we got to deal with all of this stuff on top of being sad, and we don't even be knowing why, on top of caring for a brand new human being. We don't even know. We just met this guy. So give yourself grace, okay? Give yourself grace, and if other people don't, to hell with them. You know what I'm saying? Like, you don't really understand everything that it entails to have a baby, and to go through that process after, until you just do it. If you've never been through it, or you're a man, you won't ever fully understand, So something else that this it led me to ponder on over my last 8 weeks is postpartum depression and the stigmas around it. Like I said, it's always kind of like joked about. It's not really funny though, but it's kind of like skimmed over. It's just like, oh well, the baby blues, like that's just what comes with it. But one thing that I noticed that I don't really remember from when I had my first son was every pediatrician appointment that we've been to, and every appointment with my OB that I've gone to since I've had him, they give me an evaluation for postpartum depression, and they gave it to me before I left the hospital, and I don't really remember that when I had my first son. But be honest on that thing, because it's assessing how at risk you are for postpartum depression, or if you are like really showing symptoms for postpartum depression, or if it's just the baby blues, because the baby blues doesn't really last that long. It's like that first, I think my doctor said, like the first 3 to 6 weeks. If the sadness, if the stress is lasting longer than that, then you may need to talk to somebody like a therapist, or you may need to get some medication just to help you manage it. So being honest on that, because I'm one that tends to like breeze through that type of stuff. Like, ain't nothing wrong with me. I don't need no. This time around, I was honest. Like, yep, I be crying. I be sad. I don't even know why. I was honest. And I think if I wasn't taking the time for myself like I have been, those feelings would have been worse. So I don't regret it. I know it's a lot of people. I got a lot of friends and people who love me and care about me who have been reaching out. And I haven't been answering the phone or responding to text messages just because I just needed time to decompress. And I didn't want to keep on having to explain the same thing over and over to every single person, you know? So maybe if y'all tune into this video, y'all will see why I haven't been answering the phone. I've been going through it. I've been going through it, but I've been getting through it. You know, I've been getting through it. I've been praying. I've been journaling. I've just been allowing God to like really speak to me and prepare me. I feel like I've been in a season of preparation, a season of transition, and I just been allowing it and not trying to fight it. I just been going with the flow. So back to the postpartum depression. Be honest on the depression evaluation. Try to find things that make you happy. You know, like talk to somebody, even if it's not a therapist, talk to somebody that you trust, somebody that you know really has your best interests at heart, who will hear you out and validate your feelings and your emotions. And even if nobody does validate your feelings or your emotions after, you validate them yourself. Like, know that they are valid, what you're feeling. Everybody is different, so everybody ain't gonna feel the same thing. Everybody doesn't handle stress the same. And it's a stressful time after you have your baby. It's very stressful, especially if you have other kids, if you have a family to tend to, if you know, it's stressful. And this is serious. You know what I'm saying? Like it's taking a toll on people. And I think that, look at this, literally while I'm just sitting here. Baby in a dumpster, a spate of abandoned newborns, unsettles Texas. Mothers are going through it, and I keep seeing stories like this, and I feel like this is why God led me to do this series, to come up with this series. For real, that's crazy that my phone just went off and that was what popped up. I feel like women are feeling unsupported, especially single moms. Women are feeling unsupported when we get back to that house after we leave that hospital. I ain't gonna lie, I didn't even want to leave the hospital the way that, you know, they were so hospitable. My nurses were amazing. Like, I wish I had the money to go buy them all breakfast, lunch, and dinner for each shift of nurses that I had, because they were tremendous, for real. Like, I wouldn't have made it through that week without them. And I feel like women are just feeling unsupported at home when they leave that hospital. And like I said, you're already going through a whole bunch of hormonal changes. So not having that support and going through emotionally will really play with your mind. Kids are dying. It's not a joke. So I implore you, if you are postpartum and you're not feeling your best, tell somebody. Drop that baby off to that daddy or granny or whoever you can that they will be safe with. Don't suffer in silence. And I'm speaking from experience because I'm a sufferer in silence. I do that. I did that. I used to do that. This experience has just opened me up to a new level of vulnerability within myself that nothing else would have been able to. It's like God just then sat me all the way down. He done stripped me of everything. Like, I couldn't do anything for myself. I couldn't do anything by myself. Like, I just was in a real vulnerable state. And if I didn't have my support, I don't know what I would have did. So the purpose of this whole series, honestly, is to offer some understanding to a mom out there that's feeling misunderstood, unsupported, alone, afraid, whatever it is. You're not alone. Life has a way of making you feel like your trials are isolated, like you're the only person going through this or who has ever been through this, and you're not. Millions of women have gone through what you're going through. Millions of women have gone through having to care for children on their own, coming home from the hospital, or coming, leaving the hospital, going to no home, being homeless, being carless, being resourceless, no money, no nothing. And it sucks, but somebody made it. Somebody survived and they triumphed with the circumstances that you have. So you can do it. This is episode 1 of Postpartum, the series. I hope you return for the next episode, because this is just the surface. I'll catch y'all in the next one. Thanks for tuning in.